Hey everyone, InDongCho here. Welcome to my audiobook. You know, they say you need money or talent to live your dream life. Well, 2 years ago, I decided to run a wild experiment to prove them wrong. I packed up my life, left my job, my home, everything familiar, and went country after country. No plan, no savings, no connections, just $1,000 and a one-way ticket. But here's the kicker. Something always happened. A twist, a miracle, a kindness, a doorway. My journey started in California, drifted through Bali, wandered the temples of Nepal, tumbled through Sri Lanka, and now here I am, recording this in Greece. I am 45, I have ADHD and a sprinkle of dyslexia, I'm a chronic starter, a master of unfinished projects, and my energy level is somewhere between house cat and sleepy grandma. Pretty much, I'm allergic to anything that smells like traditional success. And yet, I am living my dream life. Bird song and morning light are my alarm clocks. No schedule, no boss, no inbox waiting to devour me. I go to the beach like it's my part-time job. I share meals with locals who treat me like a long, lost cousin. Some nights I fall asleep under the night sky. And I get to live like this not because I work harder than everyone else, but because I learn to think, feel, and believe differently. This audiobook isn't a how-to. I am the opposite of a productivity guru. It's more like a whispered invitation. You can do it too. Really, even from rock bottom, especially from there. If you've ever thought there's gotta be more to life than just grinding, you are in the right place. I arrived in Greece with a few $100 donated by friends and a big, messy dream. Connect with locals, stay for 3 months, find a magical place to write, and let the story pour out of me like olive oil straight from heaven. But spoiler alert, it did not go as smoothly as I hoped. In this video, I'll share what happened when I first arrived in Greece and why I immediately had to get off the first island and went to a different one. And if time allows, I will share why I sent back the money friend had sent me to survive and chose to sleep on the beach like a homeless person, and how all of that somehow led me to 3 incredible Greek locals who changed everything. So let me take you back to where it all began. My original plan was this: get to Greece from Turkey by boat, simple, budget-friendly, adventurous. But I didn't quite think things through. I arrived on this tiny island called Kos, confident I would figure things out, but I had never entered a country by sea before. Only airports. And airports have bathrooms, SIM card shops, cafes, information desks. This port? It had wind and silence. That's it. No SIM card, no map, no idea what I was doing. But hey, I thought Google Maps has my back. Except, of course, Google Maps doesn't work without data, and data doesn't work without a SIM. And SIM card doesn't magically appear on teeny islands where no one accepts lost dreamers like me to show up. How do I find this SIM card? If I just keep walking, maybe I will stumble across one. I look to my right, too quiet. I look to left, a little busier and touristy. If I wore a SIM card, I'd be over there. So I began dragging my suitcase. Wheels rebelled against the uneven cobblestones like a child refusing to go to school. To my left, the Aegean shimmered in turquoise glory. Every sea has its own distinct color. But this was Greece blue, the kind of blue where turquoise fell in love with sapphire, stitched with threads of myth. melted into the ocean, and never left. The sea was calm, gentle waves were lapping against the dock. Air was shockingly clean, especially after spending 3 months in Sri Lanka, where vehicles coughed out black smoke. Locals zoomed by on bicycles, cars whizzed past. Families and couples strolled on the pedestrians' path. They had phones, plans, places to be. I didn't. Still, I never liked booking things in advance. You would think after years of landing in new countries, usually lost, I would start planning things better. But here's the thing. Planning for me feels like trying to schedule a kiss. It kills the magic. I stopped to ask a few people about SIM cards. No one knew. I picked into a hotel lobby. Maybe they would know something. I walked in. They were swamped. Phones ringing, guests checking in. I couldn't dare to approach. I needed Wi-Fi like a desert needs rain. Then I saw Wi-Fi written on the wall. Ooh, jackpot. I quickly connected, Google mapped the place without looking like a Wi-Fi thief. I told myself, act cool, pretend like I belong here. I took the screenshots of the directions, quietly exited the hotel, walked, and finally got my SIM card. Yay, a victory. Next mission, find a cheap place to stay. I opened my booking app with hope and a 30% charge to phone. And promptly, I felt my stomach dropped. The most affordable place was 60 euros a night. I would be broke and homeless in a week if I stayed on this island. So I checked other islands, and boom, I found a place in Rhodos for just 21 euros a night. I knew right then I had to get to Rhodos. I hauled my suitcase down to the ferry ticket office. My body was on the verge of collapse, dehydrated, restless, but my mind was louder. If you don't get off this island now, you're sleeping on a bench with your suitcase as a pillow. I reached the counter, sweat streaking down my back. Do you have a ferry to Rhodos? Yes, the lady said. Last one's in 40 minutes. Perfect. I tapped my credit card. Declined. Tried another one. Declined. My vision went a little blurry. My brain started spinning in spirals. This couldn't be happening. Not now. Then a flash of genius. I remembered. I have a few $100 sent by friends in my PayPal account. But I couldn't use PayPal here. What I needed was a human ATM. And right then, 3 travelers walked in, trying to buy the ferry tickets. I had to make this work before the ferry left. Excuse me, I blurted out, my voice louder than I meant. They turned. Sorry to bother you, but do you think I could PayPal you money in exchange for cash? They stared at me like I just asked to borrow their toothbrush. Awkward silence. One of them raised an eyebrow. I had to give them a reason that would raise a sense of urgency. If I don't get this ticket, I will have to sleep on the streets tonight. None of my cards are working. I've learned that most people genuinely want to help when someone's in trouble. One of them said yes. Man gave me his PayPal ID. He said he can give 100 euros. I wired him. One of the women looked at me skeptically. I could almost hear her thinking, she's a scammer. 100 euros went into the man's account. I showed him my phone screen to prove it. The woman told him to check his phone. He checked. However, the money hadn't come through on his end. I said, sometimes it takes a moment for the money to come through. The woman countered. That's weird. It always comes through right away. I was desperate. I can give you all my SNS account, a photo of my passport, and my phone number. And if the money doesn't come through by tonight or tomorrow, I promise I will make sure you get it. The man simply said, I trust you. He handed me 100 euros cash. I bought the ticket, put the rest of the cash in my pocket, and just like that, I was on my way to Rhodos. I went to wait for the ferry at the sitting area, but there were no signs, no attendants, and I had no idea if I was in the right spot. My mind started to race. I asked the people around if they were going to the same destination. They said yes, and I finally relaxed a bit. As I sat there, I noticed two homeless women with their blankets stretched out like picnic mats and belongings lined up by the wall, looking like gypsies, rooted and restless all at once. It suddenly hit me. If I ran out of money, that could be me. It felt less like someone else's problem and more like my own potential reality. I even thought they were wealthier than me. At least they have warm blankets. If I come to a point where I have to sleep on the street, would people allow me a spot or be territorial, kick me out of there? These thoughts crossed my mind, not seriously, but they were there. I had come to Greece to finish my book. I already had 80% of the story, but something told me Greece would give me the final 20%, the final chapter, the soul of the journey, the magic that would stitch the whole thing together and make it sing. Most people in my situation would be panicking. I need a job, I need a place to live, I need a plan. But honestly, only about 30% of me was concerned. But the other, calm, certain, rooted in something deeper. Because I'd learned to live in a state of faith. I know how powerful this is. So I reminded myself, I choose to believe. What I needed would appear. The right people, the right places, and the right experiences. It started raining. The ferry came. People moved toward it. I followed. The water from the wet ground quickly made into my shoes. Soon my socks were soaked. Every step was soggy and squishy. I only had 2 pairs of lightweight shoes. The rest I had thrown out somewhere between California and Turkey in a mad attempt to lighten my life. When you carry your entire existence in your suitcase, every sock, every charger, every bottle becomes a moral decision. Do I need this? Will this break my spine? I chose to save my back and throw them all out. I climbed into a seat, peeled off a wet socks like they were clingy axes, and pulled a fresh pair from my bag like a tiny treasure. I waited for the feet to dry and watched the window. The island behind me faded into a watercolor blur. All I could see now was the open sea. I put on fresh pair of socks. I lifted my knees and brought them to my chest and leaned against the cold pane, trying to nap. Not a real nap, just the twitchy, half-dreaming kind you get after 2 days of non-stop transportation. Bus from Istanbul, ferry from Bodrum, Turkey, and now this. My brain had stopped forming full thoughts. My soul was somewhere between exhausted and quietly euphoric. If you want to find out what happened next, make sure you subscribe to my channel right now. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next chapter of my crazy adventure.